Spot for Dallas, a win tonight, and they'll clinch a play-in. The Lakers still can land anywhere from 3 to 8 in this wacky Western Conference. So this is
the collective breath held in the arena and the number of times she delivered. Incredible.
The last time he played in this arena was Christmas Day. He wound up leaving the arena on crutches that day. That was the day he hurt his calf, and it was the final game that he played for Doncic. And chance to fire Nico.
And that's a complicated thing, Mike, when you talk about Nico. Obviously, this trade and then the amount of injury.
There it is. There it is. And they rained down last night. The fire, Nico. What do I hear? What do I hear on this Mosley show? This the special edition of the Mosley show. That is the breaking news sounder that we have. If you're joining us, maybe you're joining us for the first time on Twitter. You're live. You're looking live at the Mosley show. And in fact, Chuck Cooperstein will be along to react, voice of the Dallas Mavericks, to react to the crazy news today. It's not that crazy. It was expected. It was started to be talked about. I thought Tim McMahon from ESPN may have helped kind of speak this into existence. Mark Stein, my old colleague from the Morning News, both those guys actually had said it could be imminent. It could be this week. Well, it was this morning. He's gone. The Wicked Witch is dead. And Nico Harrison is no longer the GM of the Dallas Mavericks. Patrick Dumont, who really deserves a lot of booing in his own right, he decided to show up at a game last night. First time he'd been seen publicly since the season opening embarrassing loss to the Spurs. He dropped by last night to watch the Mavs blow a 13-point lead in the fourth quarter. And yesterday we saw stories that it was headed. We, in fact, I think showed you some video of Tim McMahon saying some things about what he thought might happen. And it did happen. It happened 10 o'clock this morning. They brought him in. By 10:30, they were telling the guys who was going to take over as far as the interim directors of basketball operations. So kind of the acting GMs, if you will. One of those is the Finley Fascination. That's right. The great Michael Finley. And so he'll be one of them. And so very, very interesting. I was just getting news from one of our upcoming guests, Scotty. Apparently Nikki Collin has had some travel things, and so we'll have to we may have to bump her from tomorrow's program. We'll look, but that's the number 7 Bears. Okay, we'll figure that all out. But Michael Finley, interim, and then Riccardi. Riccardi ends up as the interim GMs. I expect him to have a full search. Do I expect great things from Patrick Dumont? I do not. I saw people saying today, get Bob Myers. He was the one, of course, the architect that had a big hand in those Golden State Warriors championship runs. And that would be, and you see him on ESPN. I'd be fine with that. Bring Bob Myers in here. Bring anybody in here. Bring them in. Hey, I also saw Scotty, the Baylor, former Baylor great, and that would be Dennis Lindsey, who was a GM for the Utah Jazz for many years, was a consultant for the Mavs, and some people think, go get Dennis. Why not? Dennis is easy to find. I mean, he's, I think, consulting with someone as we speak, but I think Dennis might be open to something like this. Go get him. Go get Dennis Lindsey from Baylor University. So this all came down this morning. We saw the news, about 8 or 9 this morning that, hey, it's going to happen. They're going to fire Nico at 10. And quite honestly, Scotty, I believe that this thing had become untenable. And, it's pretty embarrassing when your team is trying to win a game and your first overall pick, Cooper Flagg, is having the best game he's had of his young rookie career. And he had 26 points and like 9 rebounds, maybe 7 assists, played really well last night. He goes to the rack with 28 seconds left to put the Mavs up by 1. And then in the final minute, in the final few seconds, PJ Washington gets fouled and he's got 3 free throws. And he misses the second free throw while everybody's serenading. I mean, their own player is at the free throw line, which is universally known as a time to be quiet and hope that your guy makes it. And the entire arena was chanting, "Fire Nico, fire Nico." And so Patrick Dumont screwed this thing up beyond belief. He took over. He wasn't ready for it. He didn't know. He got hoodwinked. And he finally today was like, we can't have this anymore. We got to, our fans hate us. Our fans are only showing up just to mock us. And we've got to start trying to turn this thing around. And we can't have this guy. And so now I guess they'll just start booing Patrick Dumont, which is fine by me, but you can't fire the owner. All right. I mean, we might love it, but you can't fire Patrick Dumont. Scotty, I mean, we may have to do a dramatic reading of the letter. The letter has come out. In fact, I thought that was so nice. Somebody DM me the letter. I thought that was like really so nice. Let me look at this. Okay. Yeah. Somebody was just like, I guess, thought that one of our listeners out there, Scotty, thought Mosley might need this letter. And while we have obtained this letter, I'm going to pull this up here and say that this is the letter from Patrick Dumont that went out to fans. I mean, think about this. We're sitting here we're not even 2026 yet. We're sitting here in November 11th, 2025. Scotty, this really brings back the first part of this letter really drives it home for me. And by the way, Chuck Cooperstein is going to be dropping by at 1:30, the voice of the Dallas Mavericks. Okay. And so we'll be able to visit with him, and that'll be great because Chuck will have thoughts on all this. On May 30th, 2024, the Mavericks won the Western Conference Championship. Isn't that amazing, Scotty? It wasn't even that long ago. It seems now like years ago, several years ago. It was not. And it said, and the Mavericks obviously came up short in the NBA Finals. He said, but we all agreed our future was bright. As fans of this franchise, you have every right to demand a commitment to success from us. No one associated with the Mavericks organization is happy with the start of what we all believe would be a promising season. You have high expectations for the Mavericks, and I share them with you. When the results don't meet expectations, it's my responsibility to act. I've made the decision to part ways with general manager Nico Harrison. This is at least a time where fans did get a guy fired because they tried to make this guy palatable. They tried to send him out to news conferences, and they tried to he's a joke. He was the face of what was considered one of the worst trades in sports history, NBA history, all of history. It was horrific. It continues to be horrific. And somebody had to pay in 9 months after making the trade, supposedly because defense wins championships, and they didn't want to do the Supermax with a guy that they didn't trust. And then they, of course, leaked all that stuff to talk about his poor conditioning and all of that stuff. And what is Luka doing now? Sticking it right up there, you know what? Putting it right on him because he's having a start to this season as they sit there. Mavs are 3-8, are pathetic. They lost again last night. Lakers without LeBron are 8-3. They've had players out. And Luka, and he's got help. He's got Austin Reeves and this LaGravia, whatever his name is. He's come out of nowhere. But for the most part, this is all Luka. And Luka is on pace to, right now, and again, we're only 11 games in, but he's on pace to be the MVP this season. He's scoring close to 40. He's averaging a triple-double. He's putting an unbelievable season together, and it all should be happening right here with the old Dallas Mavs, and we had to say goodbye to him. So very, very so it's a weird day today. It's a I think fans, at least temporarily, get the satisfaction of knowing they were heard. The fire Nico chants did not fall on deaf ears. This was a bad, bad situation. He was an embarrassment, and so he had to go. What's funny to me, Scotty, is like that, sometimes you get off to a really poor start in NBA season and you throw your coach overboard. Well, they just did a long-term extension with Jason Kidd. He was not going to get fired. I mean, the truth is, Nico, yes, put all this in position to happen, but it's not Nico's fault that Anthony Davis got hurt. Now, of course, it's his fault that he traded for a guy who had this kind of injury history. How many games has Anthony Davis played with the Mavericks since he came over that trade February 2nd of last year? The answer is 14. I'm not including the play-in game. Anthony Davis, I don't even blame Anthony Davis. I mean, he can't help it. He gets hurt all the time. But they knew this. They traded for a 32-year-old dude. They traded a flat-out superstar in his prime at age 25 or 26, whatever Luka is, in his prime, for a 32-year-old broken-down person. And again, when he plays, he's good. It's not like he's not good. That guy's a perennial all-star. He's a great player, but he's not available. They got one first-round pick, and they got Max Christie. He got fleeced. Rob Pelinka pantsed him. Rob Pelinka embarrassed this man. And so, most times, Scotty, we see somebody get fired, whether it's in our profession, whether it's a coach or whatever, we do have a level of empathy, right? It's like, I don't like to see that happen to somebody, but boy, this guy, it's hard to muster up the usual empathy that we try to find because he brought so much of this on himself with that horrible trade. And before that, he had done some okay things. And it turns out he screwed up the medical staff. He screwed up everything, but he had done some things. Kyrie was an enormous part of them going to the finals a couple of seasons ago. He did that deal. Let's not forget. But his tenure will be remembered for disaster. All right. And I'm sure hopefully Nico has some good friends. Maybe he has some old fraternity brothers, has some old college pals that are there for him. All right. But right now, this just feels Scotty reached out to me and said something like, this is what it felt like when we got bin Laden. It's like, okay, that's a little much. That's a little much. I've told that story before of the day sharing the news with my 3 or 4 year old daughter at the time that the Americans had gotten Osama bin Laden. Probably not a story you should share with your toddler, but in that moment, because of the horrific things he had done, it did feel like a great moment for our country. And I do remember being happy that day. Now this is not, so anyway, it's not anything alike, but it did kind of make me laugh that somebody immediately thought of that. Okay, Nico's not that bad. He's bad, but he's not that bad. All right, but it was just. The other one I liked, Scotty, was and I thought was kind of funny. They're saying on Twitter, and it's something that had crossed my mind. I should have made the joke, but anyway, it's already out there, so I can't make it now. But that Jerry Jones gets to go back to being the most hated man in the Metroplex again. He gets to reclaim his title. And that was the joke when it first happened, that Jerry was sitting there kind of excited because for once he wasn't the most hated guy. So here we are. Scotty, join me for a moment. Join me. I want you to spend some time in the revelry. Again, this is very rare that I went before, like, we're just waiting for Scotty to appear. It's almost like the curtain is coming open. And there he is, back from the studio. Let's see what he's going with today. Native Sons. Okay. All right. I would think that's some sort of brand or band or something.
It's a good guess, Mosley. A band would be a tremendous guess. The Native Sons is the roasting arm of Common Grounds.
Oh, I know Common Grounds, people.
Of course you do.
That's good. Native Sons. Okay. Scotty, you immediately reached out to me, and we knew our day would be a little different because of this happening. The firing of Nico, and as I said, Scotty, I don't feel great, and I would not say I'm not on the level because I've covered this team for so long, and I was angry and I hated because I love being around Luka. I love going to games. I love covering him. So I would not describe my feelings of just utter happiness or like that I was going around with this morning's news pumping my fist like maybe a lot of Mavs fans are. I do feel again, most times when somebody gets fired, I do have a level of empathy for them. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll always be known for this, but he's made a ton of money. Somebody will take him in. He'll be okay. This was an egregious enough mistake in a crazy enough decision that I can't sit here today and go, I feel really bad for his family. Really bad. I can't even do all that. And again, the one thing I do feel bad, if his kids have experienced some level of blowback at their schools or something over the last year, 9 months, then I do hate that. I feel bad for family members. I just don't feel bad for him. But I do feel a measure of happiness for the fans that just they got let down so horribly. And by the way, Patrick Dumont deserves the anger, and he deserves a lot of this because he had to sign off on this deal. And it's really, really sad that and Mark Cuban, to me, put the team in peril. Obviously, he thought he was going to get to stay on and still vote. I don't know why he thought that. He's too smart of a guy to not realize that when somebody pays somewhere in the billions to become a majority leader, they don't normally want to not have a say. It's here's all these billions. We own this team. We're not going to have any say. We're going to let Mark Cuban still be the face of this thing. What were your initial feelings, Scotty, when you heard the news this morning? When you saw the news?
First thought was that this is happening 284 days too late. This man should have been run out of town the day he made this decision. And that's why you say Dumont deserves his share of blame for overseeing the team and approving the move. Yeah, we weren't doing this show together when this came down, Matt, but I have never felt more anger towards one of my teams, especially a professional team, than I felt in the wake of this, Matt, because it wasn't just that it was a bad basketball move, which is obvious. It's that it was a horrible, incalculably bad. You cannot put words on how bad it was for the feelings in the fan base, for the culture that you've built up around this franchise for 30 years. You sold your soul. So Nico was doomed the moment that trade happened. My feelings today, I was not surprised because, of course, we talked about Tim McMahon said this would happen yesterday. But I didn't feel the same wave of relief or joy that I thought several months ago I might, were this to happen. I think, not to get too therapeutic about this, Mosley, but I think healing from trauma takes time. And I think this is a great first step towards making things right with your supporters and your fan base. But there are many steps to come. You got to kind of win back a bunch of trust now. Someone I know says, trust is it's like a bucket, right? And you earn trust in drops. But when you kick over that bucket, you lose all of it, and you got earning your drops of trust back, right? Yeah. And so I think Nico or Dumond with this decision has put a drop in the bucket, but the whole organization kicked over the bucket with the fans when they got rid of, the best player in franchise history. I know that's Dirk forever now, but as far as generational talent, I think Luka's the best player in the NBA. So I don't know, man. I am a Mavs fan. I wear my fandom on my sleeve. I have hated them since the move. It will take some time to earn things back. Yeah.
And last night, Cooper Flagg had his best game of the season, and it wasn't even the biggest story because they were like, they're booing during free throws. I just looked at the time, Scotty, and so we do have a guest coming up in 3 minutes. So I'll tell you what, you want to do a break real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
And then we'll take care of our sponsors, and then we'll be back with the voice of the Dallas Mavericks, Chuck Cooperstein, after this.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform
at your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
Drive in the fall at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Huge savings and the best selection in Central Texas. From powerful Ram trucks, Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, to adventure-ready Jeeps and stylish new Dodges, we've got the right ride for you. Upgrading, downsizing, or buying your very first vehicle, Allen Samuels has you covered with friendly service and deals that make driving fun. Don't miss the Drive in the Fall event, only at Allen Samuels.
Come by, let's be friends.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we didn't know exactly what that partnership would look like.
What brings you into the bank today?
For the last couple of months, I've been noticing a charge on my account, and I would like to block it.
I see. So you have a charge?
Yes.
And you'd like to block it?
Yes.
I think you should take the charge.
What?
Yeah, I definitely think you should take the charge.
I don't think you understand.
Sometimes you just have to take one for the team.
Is there a manager available?
We love that Coach Colin is all about the team. Once we get the vocabulary down, the sky's the limit.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.
I have Mac Rhodes, director of Baylor Athletics, on the phone. Mac, can you tell Peggy why she should take the charge?
Of course she should take the charge. Wait, are you at the bank again? And who is Peggy?
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Mosley to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code MOSLEY. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
All right, let's bring him in, the voice of the Dallas Mavericks, Chuck Cooperstein. Oh, there he is. It seems like he can hear me fine. And Chuck, yeah, good to see you, man. And I thought the Mavs were going to get a win last night. It didn't happen. And I wonder, by the way, when all those chants are going down and happening, and it's really weird that it's happening, like when the Mavs are shooting free throws in your headset, like, can you hear all that? Is that, yeah.
Could hear it.
Game? Yeah.
I could hear it, then took off one ear just to make sure that I was hearing what I thought I heard. Yes, you could hear it. And I'll say that was, there's a lot going on, obviously, but that was a really disappointing response for me. Everybody knows the story. Everybody knows, how everybody feels and was feeling. But those guys are out there trying to win games, and they're busting their ass to try to win a game. And at the very least, if you're going to do it coming out of a timeout, do it at the start of the game, the start of a half, when they're shooting free throws and the other team is shooting free throws. Don't do it when your team is shooting free throws and they're trying to win the game. I just thought it was a really bad look. I was really disappointed about that. While obviously understanding, how a lot of people were feeling, and and definitely, you pay your money, and you as long as you're respectful and you're not cursing and stuff like that, you can say whatever you want. I just thought the timing was really odd, and I thought the timing, certainly for the team, was really wrong.
What are your feelings when you knew it was headed this way? We saw the reports yesterday. When it became official this morning, you love the team. You work, you're a big Mavs fan, but you work for the team. All those things that you're loyal to the team, but you also have your opinions on decisions that are made and everything. Was it a feeling of like, I'm glad this chapter is ending? What is relief? What was your feeling when you first saw the news?
Well, it's relief because this did seem like a result of the old Jeremy Foley line when he fired Ron Zook back in the day. That which must be done eventually, or which will be done eventually, should be done immediately. I don't know that. The only thing that I guess that I was kind of surprised at was that they did it when they did it. I really thought with the number of home games that the Mavericks have over the next week, they have they're in the midst of a 4-game homestand right now, in the midst of 7 of 8 at home. It's 13 of 18 to start the year. That maybe that they would find a way, given another week. And granted, the competition is pretty good, although the Clippers are really struggling right now. That they could find some footing, because from indications, it looks like that Davis and Lively are not that far away from coming back to play, and maybe you get a little better look at what this team ultimately was going to look like, having those two players to add to their roster, although those two players don't necessarily solve the inherent problems that this team has, which is a clear lack of shooting. The shooting is, you're shooting 29.5% or 29.5% from three. There's never been a team in the history of basketball over a full season that has shot 20.5%, 29.5%. Granted, this is just 11 games, but when you struggle to even make 10 3-pointers a game, you're going to lose the 3-point math. And then you have to go shoot a bunch of free throws. And the Mavericks put themselves in a position last night to do that because they shot 41. They shot 41 free throws. Ultimately made 31. If they had made 34, they would have won. I guess that's the thing that surprised me. I thought it might have taken a little more time, that they would have given it a little more time. But I think the fact that Patrick Dumont came into town himself to have these meetings on Sunday and Monday, and that he's sitting in the stands and he's hearing the fans in a close game that his team has a chance to win, and he's hearing the fans do this. If he had not already made the decision, I think that last moment when PJ missed the free throw, one of the three, the second of three, when they were down by 3, I think that was probably the final push.
It doesn't help that Luka has just been brilliant and is scoring 40 a game, which, by the way, we saw a lot of that over the years. Let's not act like this is the first time.
Well, no, we've never seen him score 37 a game. We've not, maybe over a period of time, but
yeah,
never quite like this.
We've seen him be brilliant, but this is unbelievable. And when we start talking about MVPs, don't we, in NBA? About 2 games in, usually. So it's already happening with Luka, and like you said, and then Dumont weighing in on the Anthony Davis injury, reportedly. I think Tim McMahon had that story. Boy, that told you that there was a different level of involvement that was happening. I mean, that wouldn't have surprised us to hear about Mark Cuban back in the day, that Mark might say something, but for Dumont to be weighing in on those types of things tells you that there was a higher level involvement. So probably a good clue that something like this was about to happen.
Well, that was, a pretty bizarre scene, frankly, in both, I want to say, where were the Mavericks last week when they were in after the game. It was in Mexico. It was at first in Mexico. Davis went pretty hard. That was the first game after he got hurt in the first quarter against Indiana, and he went hard for about 15 to 18 minutes before the Mavericks came out on the floor to play that game against Detroit. And then we saw it again in Washington on Saturday after he was declared out of the game, which again led me to believe that maybe he was going to play last night, but he didn't play last night. So, it's my book is very messy, trying to figure out the Mavericks lineup and where everybody should sit in my lineup page. And I don't know when he's coming back. I don't know when Lively's coming back. But given what happened last year and how Lively's injury was ultimately misdiagnosed, that this staff was going to be extraordinarily careful in determining whether or not when he was going to come back, even though, Nico's probably thinking, man, I need this guy back in the lineup. And Davis is thinking, Nico's my guy. He's in trouble. I want to help him get out of trouble. And he wasn't allowed to be able to do that.
Chuck, what did you think of Nico before the trade the infamous trade on February 2nd? Like, just your time around him and just observing some of the moves he had made. What were your thoughts on him before it went down?
Well, he clearly he had a mixed bag, just like every general manager has a mixed bag. He gave up a first-round pick for Christian Wood. It was a bad trade. They signed JaVale McGee. Thought he was going to be a starter. He was a starter for like 5 games. And they're still paying JaVale McGee because they stretch waived him. He wanted reportedly to trade for Kyle Kuzma, but Kuzma didn't want to come here, and that led to the Mavericks ultimately making the deals that they made for PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. And without those 2 guys, the Mavericks don't go to the finals in 2024. The draft has been kind of a mixed bag. They thought they were going to steal something with Jaden Hardy, from Sacramento. That didn't really work out very well. Omax Prosper didn't work out. Lively has worked out when he's played, but it's been now apparent that in all 4 years of his college and NBA career, that he's an injury-prone player, and that's unfortunate because he's really, really good. I mean, clearly the talent is there, but you need to be able to play, and he's not on the floor right now, and hasn't been on when this team, really needed him. Not his fault. I mean, he got hurt. Just like it's Davis' fault that he got hurt. I don't think he tried to get hurt, didn't want to get hurt, but he got hurt, and so that hurts. And obviously, the best trade he made was getting Kyrie Irving. You know, and he got Kyrie Irving for really pennies on the dollar. And you know, no one thought that Kyrie was worth taking a shot on except him, because he had the relationship with Kyrie. And Kyrie really knew that this was going to be his last chance to succeed. And he wasn't going to allow Nico Harrison to fail. And Jason Kidd, for that matter, who he grew up watching at the Meadowlands when they were going to the finals in the early aughts. And then, unfortunately, you know, Kyrie playing some of the best basketball of his career gets hurt in early March, and he hasn't been back, and he hasn't been able to really help solve the on-court problem. You know, other than, you know, being around the team and being a sounding board for them.
Did you try to keep an open mind, like, about the trade? I'm trying to remember, because I think I talked to you not long after it, when Luka was coming back here. Or did you have the visceral response, like a lot of people did, that this is horrific, this is insanity? What was your, in the 24 hours and as you had time to kind of process that, what was your immediate reaction now looking back?
The immediate reaction is that were I the general manager, I wouldn't have made the trade. But I'm not the general manager, and I don't know everything that he knows. You know, I'm not around that team every single minute the way he is. So, you know, I'm watching it the way you're watching it. I mean, I see, you know, a 5-time first team All-NBA player at age 25 in the prime of his career as the logical successor to Dirk Nowitzki, as the face of the Mavericks franchise, and arguably the biggest face in sports in Dallas, and that includes the Cowboys. You know, you deal away something like that. It almost doesn't matter what you get in return, even if Anthony Davis is a top 75 all-time player, maybe even a top 50 all-time player. He's going to the Hall of Fame. He could stop playing tomorrow, and Anthony Davis is going to the Hall of Fame. You know, it's not like they got nothing in the trade, but there was, you know, there was an emotional attachment to Luka that once you trade for someone, no matter how good he is, it takes time to build an emotional attachment, if you can build it at all. And I think that's where it's not just Nico, but I do think, you know, the organization struggled in dealing with that as well in the aftermath of the trade. And now, look, I think, you know, time allows you to look back on things and see, you know, what you did right, what you did wrong. And I mean, it seems pretty evident that Patrick Dumont has some regrets about what went down on the night of February 1st, and he wants to try to do right. But it's going to take a long time, I think, for them to be able to do right. But at least they do have a starting building block in Cooper Flagg.
Okay, and that leads me to Flagg had his best game, at least scoring-wise, with the Mavs last night. Had a big moment with about, 28 seconds left, where he went right at Giannis. And he said after the game he was meaning to dunk, but I think he got up there and realized, I better not do that. This whole thing has had to be weird to him, you know, navigating people asking him about, you know, and then hearing all the chants up there. You know, I don't know what people expected from Cooper. I think we expected a lot. He had that one game I attended where he had 2 points. You remember the one, and that was bad. Everybody's going to have their rookie moments, but when you're number one overall, there's just that huge microscope. What are you, night in, night out, and then last night even? Are you seeing him just growing and coming along at a really good clip? What has been your impression so far?
Absolutely. No, and last night was his best all-around game. I mean, look, every night there's a steal and a block, 2 steals and a block. You know, his offense is a work in progress, but his offense, I think, has become better in the last few games without nearly as much ball handling responsibility as he had at the beginning of the year, as Jason Kidd has now cycled through him, D'Angelo Russell, and now Brandon Williams, you know, as the initiator of the offense at point guard. And again, not that that necessarily leads to assists, but how are you getting into your stuff? And I think Flagg is probably better suited as a secondary creator at the moment. And he's really good going to the rim, and he's really good, finishing there, finishing with his offhand. He's terrific with his left hand, great free throw shooter. The shooting, and I think we see this with a lot of college guys, that will be the last thing to come. And frankly, that was the last thing that came for Flagg last year at Duke, because it really was not until the start of conference play that he started shooting the ball at the manner that we expect him to shoot it here. But it's a little different when you're playing the NBA. The game is faster. You got to get rid of your shot faster. But overall, I mean, I think he's handled it great. And I think last night was just, I think, a smidge of what we're going to see going forward. And I think, we have to remember, Matt, it's only 11 games. I mean, it's 11 games at 82. I mean, I don't know that he's going to play every game, but he's probably going to play 70. So there's a lot more opportunity for growth. And I think, if you look back to opening night against San Antonio to where he was last night, I think you saw a different player offensively. I think you saw a much more assertive player offensively. I think, there have been times where he's been a little too deferential to the other guys around him. And I think I don't know when that point comes, and maybe it has started to come here where, he recognizes that, hey, I'm pretty good and I can do this. And I can, it doesn't matter that I'm 18 years old. I can still go against these guys and I can score and I can affect the game that way and be aggressive and get to the rim and get fouled and make free throws. And then as long as he keeps doing that, does that enough, keeps working on his outside shot, the outside shot will come. I don't think anybody should be disappointed. I mean, look, you can look at guys like Edgecombe, who's been great in Philadelphia. Role's a little different now that Jerry McCain is back, not getting quite as many shots as he got early in the year. Cedric Coward playing with Memphis has been just sensational. I mean, he's a 50, 40, 90 guy, getting big time minutes right away for a guy playing only 6 games last year in Washington State. So Con Knippel's been terrific. His Duke teammate, which to me has been a little bit of a surprise. I didn't think he'd be quite this good early in the year, but nobody should worry about Cooper Flagg. In fact, given everything that's going on around the franchise right now, Cooper Flagg is probably the least of the Mavericks' concerns.
That is good to hear. Cade Cunningham, you were talking about shots a minute ago. 45 shots last night.
It's crazy.
46 points, which is good, and I think they did win that game. What do you think this fan base, from what you can tell, and maybe even people in your own household? I'm thinking about your son too, but is this a day of relief? You said something, relieved was one thing you talked about, but for the fan base, this next trip they take to the AAC, it's like they've had this 9 months of directing their anger toward this one man, maybe a little bit to Dumont, but mostly to Nico. What do you think today is like for this fandom? In immediate aftermath, at least on Twitter and everything, it seems to be huge celebration. But it can quickly go back to anger when you watch Luka, as you were just talking about, score 37 a game and watch what you thought would happen here for the next decade happen not only somewhere else, but a place that a team and a franchise Mavs fans do not like. And a lot of teams don't like, but the Mavs, that goes back to the 80s. Where do you think this fan base is today?
It's a great question, Matt. And I don't know that I have a really good handle on it. I think that, for the most part, they are relieved and they are relieved for sure that, this has all gone on. There's just way too much going on. And it was time to, make a decision. Either we're doing this or we're not doing this. So they've gone ahead and do that. I'm not into dancing on anyone's grave because, I don't know that you've necessarily lived until you've been fired. And it's got to be a horrible day for Nico. Obviously, there's a lot that he did, by making the trade that brought this moment to pass. But from a fan standpoint, they just want this team to win, and I don't think they necessarily know how their team is going to get to that point. With Kyrie not coming back until late January or early February, or again, if the team continues to struggle, do they even bring him back at all? Is Anthony Davis on the trade mark? Are they going to blow the whole thing up and take 2 steps back and build around Cooper Flag and try to regain a lot of the draft choices that they've lost? When they were trying to build a championship window, which Nico Harrison did. I mean, ultimately he did. That's and that's going to be lost in all of this. He built a team that was 3 wins away from winning the NBA championship. But now but in doing that, there was a price paid as far as the players that you brought in order to do that. Well, right now it doesn't look like they're really close to winning an NBA championship. And if that is indeed the goal, and multiple championships, as Patrick Dumont alluded to in his open letter today, then you need to have assets in order to make that happen. And they have a couple of people who I don't know that they necessarily, given their overall talent, will retrieve the assets you would think and capital that you would think that they should get because of their injury status and their age status. But it's absolutely a start, and I think that's probably where the fan base is right now. I think the fan base is looking at this team and saying they're not good enough to get to where everybody wants them to go, and what's the best way to do it. And the best way is to try to retrieve draft choices. So, again, do the Mavericks do that, during the season? Do they do that, in the postseason, when they name a general manager, whoever that general manager is, what's his approach toward this? There is still as many questions as there's ever been, even in light of the events of today.
All right. And we heard, by the way, people said, well, bring in Bob Myers. We'll start throwing out all kinds of names. Dennis Lindsay had consulted with the Mavs, the former Utah Jazz GM and former Baylor player, I might add. So that was one name just being bandied about. I don't know, what interest level he would have. But do you think, Chuck, is that a search that will happen? How long? What do you think a timetable would be like on something like that?
I don't know. Okay. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if the attitude is, get a guy in here ASAP, let him evaluate the situation. And of course, the trade deadline is the first Thursday in February, or the second Thursday in February. It's February 6th, I think, this year. That's one way to look at it. The other way is that, Michael Finley and Matt Riccardi are going to run the team together in operations for the rest of the season on an interim basis, and just let the year play out. Give the ownership the ultimate amount of time to make a decision as to whether either what you already have in house is good enough to go forward with, or do you need someone from the outside to go ahead and do that? I don't have any clue as to the thinking there right now.
Chuck, I appreciate it. Busy day. Usually we see a 3-8 team, hockey and NBA, like a coach might get thrown overboard. It's a little unusual to see a GM, but these are unusual circumstances. And I did see somewhere somebody said Jerry Jones can now return to being the most hated executive.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting too. If you go back to 1989, when John McLeod was fired. After the Mavericks lost by 57 to the Supersonics at home. They lost like 117-70. No, so that's not, is that 56? No, that's not quite. It's what, 46. That's why I always have a stat guy with me, because I can't do math in my head. But John McLeod was fired after that game, and the Mavericks had just played 11 games. They were 5-6. And now they make this move today after 11 games.
Wow. Did Buckner make it through one whole season?
Yes.
What about Clemens?
Yes, Clemens made it. Clemens got replaced in his second season when Nelly took over.
Okay. I'm just thinking of the really rough, some of the were rough eras in that. And anyway, well, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. And I don't know. I was going to say a great day. It's I don't like, even with the weird circumstances, you don't like being excited for somebody to be fired, but I know for the fans, this is a certain level of, I don't know, this is what they've been chanting for. Yeah.
I think for much of the fan base, it's cathartic.
Yes.
It is cathartic for them. But again, is that just like a short-term sugar rush, or is it something that, is lasting in their minds to feel that, okay, they've done what we asked them to do, and now we can go back to actually, rooting for the team, rooting for the players who are here to win games and try to get this thing turned around. I hope that that's what will happen starting tomorrow night against Phoenix.
All right, Chuck, have a great rest of the day, and we'll look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
You bet. There he goes. Chuck Cooperstein on the Matt Mosley show. And man, that's great to be able to get the voice of the Dallas Mavericks at on a huge day today. I mean, it's the firing of Nico Harrison. I mean, it basically, the clock started ticking on this the day he pulled that trade. And then, of course, I mean, maybe if Anthony Davis had been healthy and they had played better and all that kind of stuff, it would have at least put it off. But he hasn't, and he's only played in 14 games. I don't think that's including the 2 play-in games, but it is a dark. I mean, it's the whole thing. It's a dark era for the Mavericks because of what happened with Luka, and now to see him play at a place which we were all. I grew up a Mavs fan in the 80s, and we were all trained and brought up to hate the Los Angeles Lakers, and so to see your star player not only leave, but then be with a team that you were trained and you grew up hating, that's a tough thing. And that's what people my age. And then for the younger people, hey, they worshiped Luka, they had the jersey. And so this thing has been a very dark experience. Today, just some, as Chuck put it, some level of cathartic type feeling that this happens. And so there's sort of a measure of comeuppance with, hey, you did this to us. You did this horrible trade, and you robbed us of all these years we were going to get with this star player for very dubious reasons at best. I mean, just, he wasn't conditioned. Oh, we didn't want to do Supermax because we thought he might get injured. Well, I mean, you traded for a guy who seems to be injured a lot. He has a whole career of this. There's a ton of this that he has. So, but incredible to get the voice of the Dallas Mavericks, Chuck Cooperstein, on such a crazy day in the Dallas Mavericks history, the season. He's gone now. I guess everybody can turn their anger toward Patrick Dumont if you want. I still think a little bit deserves to be on the. Cuban just has been allowed to skate. It's like he sold. He put us all in peril. He put all Mavs fans in peril with selling the majority stake. But for whatever reason, maybe all his years of people liking him because he was a fun owner and all of that, somehow he has skated by simply just saying probably the truth. But hey, I wouldn't have done this deal. Well, we get it. We know you wouldn't have, but you still sold the team to these people who didn't have any clue and then trusted the GM that you did hire, I might add. All right. So we can't just go, I didn't have anything to do with Nico Harrison. If my math's correct, he was hired before the Dumont family came into power. All right. So let's just keep all that in. I don't totally understand why Mark Cuban is allowed just to skate right by here. Okay. We've got more to react to on this front. And boy, appreciative of Central National Bank, our presenting sponsor. You guys are incredible. and you help bring us these unbelievable guests that we have, and we appreciate C&B. We appreciate Ascension Providence. You see the big banner down there, the incredible, the doctors that we've brought in to interview. That's an incredible partnership, and we just are so appreciative. Let's continue to react to this. We also have Dave Aranda was asked yesterday about this Mac Rhodes situation. And by the way, Scotty, I thought you would like knowing that I think our instincts were good. I've heard people, sort of high-ranking type folks that were very complimentary of what Terrence Ganaway had to say on our show. So if you ever wonder out there, if you're watching, and maybe you're watching us on Twitter today or watching on Facebook, like, who watches the Mosley show? Well, kind of the power players do. The truth is the coaches actually do. So if you're ever kind of curious, I wonder if I'm watching a show that other people watch. Well, the truth is you are. And a reminder, if you've come in today via Twitter, go ahead and take the time, please, to sign up for the YouTube channel. Just if you need to find it, it's kind of fairly prominent out there. But if you Google Matt Mosley, YouTube, the Matt Mosley Show, whatever, it's going to pop up. And then you can subscribe, you can comment, you can get some thoughts into the show. And Scotty does a real nice job. In fact, your question and your tweet may be shown right up there on the screen. So we can do some things that are a little bit different than what I did all my years in radio. All right. And we also, Jerry Jones spoke earlier today. I might check in and bring you up to date on what his first public comments since the death of Marshawn Nealon. So much to come. But let's start this hour, this 2:00 hour, more reaction to Mavs, and then we'll bring it home with some college stuff, both Campus Confidential, and then we'll let you listen to a little bit of Dave Aranda. We'll react to it all in the second hour of the Matt Mosley Show.
Bubble wasn't here. I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
At Cooperstein, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
At Matt Piffle, we believe in celebrating your journey. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mappiffle.com and start celebrating your story today.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia. Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
WhyPersonalLoans.com. Request a loan anytime. Our partners can offer loans up to $35,000 with varying rates and terms. Review your loan offer with no obligation and decide what works for you. Visit PersonalLoans.com today.
This is what $500,000 in a duffel bag looks like. Actually not real. That's because it's actually prop money. It looks realistic from a distance, but up close you can see it says for motion picture purposes. Visit PropMoney.com today to get your money seen or money shot right with Prop Money Inc.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. U-Like.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Visit vivosun.com today and get started making growing plants and vegetables easy and automatic.
Oh, it is the Matt Mosley Show right here on the Rogue Media Network. And boy, today we've had major breaking news. We'll do some college coming up here at 2:30, and we'll get into what's going on there and the latest on this Mac Road situation. And we had Terrence Ganaway on yesterday, really good stuff. And today we've already had Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavs, on. This is, if you're just joining us, this is the day that fans have been waiting on. They've been doing all the chants, the fire Nico. I kind of agree, Scotty, with Chuck that, my gosh, I mean, there's got to be a moment like in a game where your fans have at least the presence of mind to go, well, our guy, I mean, the team, we've come to see this team play. This is our team, as much as we hate the guy running it, the GM, and maybe hate the ownership too. But like, our players really haven't done anything, right? I don't think PJ Washington wanted Luka Doncic gone. And so there's PJ needing to make 3 free throws to tie this game and possibly put it into overtime. And the chants of fire Nico come, thunderously down from the rafters throughout the while their own player is shooting. He misses the second free throw, and they lose the game like 116 to 114 to Giannis and the Bucks to fall to 3-8. Now, maybe it was worth it because, like, is there a chance they would have held off firing him if they had somehow won that game and they had moved their record to 4-7? I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to believe. I mean, if Dumont was in town, he was in town to do some business, and that business was firing Nico Harrison. Nico, sadly, was just so meek and so just kind of sat there and just stone-faced, having people rain down their hatred toward him. I wish more of it probably, or at least some of it, had gone to the ownership group. The Dumonts came in. They knew nothing. They just wanted to build. They wanted to have a team. They wanted it's a grab. Also, it's a long play to get a new arena built. Try to hopefully have a casino in downtown Dallas or wherever they choose. They don't care. They don't care. They have no ties to Dallas. They don't care if it's in downtown. They don't care if it's Grapevine. They don't care if it's out in McKinney. They do not care. Give us our casino. This is what we do. This is where we made our money. these people are billionaires who are mainly concerned with getting Trump elected. That's what this guy's mother-in-law, the Adelson family, Sheldon Adelson's widow, that's what they were after. We need, let's see, how can we get political power? How can we get the right guy in the White House to try to help us make more money? I mean, that's really what our country's all about right now. But again, that's not new. But that has nothing to do with whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. Okay. That's been around for a lot of years, where select families control the country. It may have, we may know more about it now with the Koch family and others. But anyway, I don't need to get going down that road. But bottom line is they know nothing. It's like the old, what is that, McKell's Navy or whatever. They don't know anything. And so it was the perfect storm. Cuban had no more control, and he was no longer making the decisions. And Nico got crossways with Luca and his people and thought he was out of condition and didn't like the thought of doing a super max contract with him, thinking that because of his lack of conditioning, he would get hurt. Think of the mental gymnastics it takes to get here. You've got a guy who's like all NBA, first team, MVP candidate, just took a team to the NBA Finals. People say, well, Matt Kyrie was on that team. Luka's the main guy. Luka was the main guy. Yeah, look, Kyrie's great. But Kyrie's 35, 36 years old. Luka is the young superstar. And so he did all these mental gymnastics and convinced, and think about the money loss. Think about just the unbelievable, the merchandise, and then they luck out with Cooper Flagg, and maybe that will help down the road. But for now, Cooper's still sort of taking his lumps, going through his rookie season. So today we wake up to the news that Nico Harrison is done and is no longer with the Mavs. Now, I'm glad we had Chuck on for a number of reasons. One of which, Scotty, was the fact that he could, just from memory, remember all those like weird deals that Nico had done. I think there's a belief that, hey, Nico did the Gafford thing and the PJ Washington and the Kyrie, like that allowed them to go to the finals. That's all true. But he also did some like dumb stuff, like a first-round pick. They got one first-round pick for Luka. By the way, it should have been, here's what the right haul would have been. A 32-year-old aging superstar in Anthony Davis and like 3 first-round picks. Minimum. They got 1 in Max Christie. And by the way, it's in 2029. Okay? They got fleeced in a huge way by the Los Angeles Lakers. And honestly, he ought to go find refuge, Nico, with the Lakers. But they can't take him in because, of course, Luka hates the man. It's just, what I'm trying to find out is one thing that I think Chuck said is, okay, why do it now? Because there had been some thought about maybe wait till mid-season. This had become untenable. Tim McMahon had said at least by mid-season this thing's gonna get done. And as Tim writes today, this was in his ESPN analysis that he's just put up, Dumont, talking about Patrick Dumont, the owner of the Mavs, decided overnight that there was no rational reason to wait. The franchise needed to move on now. Dumont addressed the move in a letter to the team's fans Tuesday. And we read some of it earlier just to give you a little feel for it. He goes, I understand this is the letter from Dumont to fans, where he did not specifically say anything about the Luka trade, but we all know, why this firing took place. And privately, Dumont has expressed remorse for having that deal get done. Oh, good. Hang a banner. This guy's having remorse. What a joke. Like anybody cares. Oh, Patrick Dumont's having some remorse. I'd almost rather he not. I'd rather him double down and go, I still like the deal. I still like the deal because you can't fire him. He's the owner of the team. He's the guy who can hire and fire people. I mean, if he, as much as Cuban annoys me, and by the way, I've had him on, interviewed him tons of times. I mean, he would probably come on here. In fact, I probably should try to get him on. But that's really what Dumont should probably do, is like, you know what? I'm going to let Mark go back to running this thing. Now, he's probably too prideful to do that. So what they'll do is go out and get, hopefully, a very qualified GM. Who's out there? Bob Myers, the legendary GM of the Golden State Warriors, who's doing TV right now. He's the one who was the architect of those great Golden State teams. All right. Did he know that Steph Curry was going to become the greatest shooter of all time? Maybe not. But he still, he was putting everything together, and Draymond and Iggy and Steph. And then later on, of course, they bring in KD to add at least one more title. Was it 2? I'm trying to think how many they got without him. Anyway, the letter from Dumont said, I understand the profound impact these difficult last several months have had. Please know that I'm fully committed to the success of the Mavericks. Our goal is to return winning basketball to Dallas and win championships. It didn't take a rocket scientist to know that they weren't going to be good without Kyrie. I'm shocked that people were still trying to say, watch out for the Mavericks. The Mavericks could contend for the NBA title this year. Oh my gosh. It's so dumb that, first of all, that Kidd has forced this thing with playing Cooper Flag at the point. It's like we did it with Giannis, so now we're going to do it with Cooper Flag. How about you let him get his feet wet? How about you let this guy who is incredible at Duke, at playing small forward or anywhere you needed him for that matter. But I mean, how about you play him, try to play him in a way where he's a secondary creator. What made him incredible at Duke? Really? You're going to try to let him run the team where he play out of position, play a position he's never played before? The Mavs did pull the plug on that. I mean, it's, which is just, again, that tells you how just obstinate and arrogant Jason Kidd is. And boy, he doesn't get off scot-free in this thing. Jason Kidd was schmoozing around with Nico and Dumont, and he ingratiated himself with them. And, I don't really feel like, when given the opportunity, even though he acts like it's the 12th hour that he was let know about Luka, he did not go kicking and screaming. And then he tried to do the whole thing where he took a day off and didn't talk to the media because he was too stressed out or something. Hey, step up. Step up. You've got a huge say in this organization. You could have been in their ear. You're crazy. Don't do this. Don't do this. You think that this thing hadn't come up with Luka's conditioning before in conversations with Nico? Jason Kidd had more to do with this than he lets on. An Eastern Conference scout told McMahon in this story, there's no point guard. You don't have a floor leader. That's the first problem. Then you're trying to make a guy who isn't a point guard. Okay. D'Angelo Russell is not the answer. Obviously Kyrie Irving will be the answer, but we don't know when he's coming back. Brandon Williams just dropped in from the basketball gods. The guy gets stopped at the airport for having a little weed on him, but when he shows up, he's been a godsend. It's really bad. And Kidd doesn't trust D'Angelo. Russell, he's had a decent NBA career, but he was never going to be the answer. Listen, this is what, and again, How much of this is Nico's fault? Well, a lot, because he constructed the roster, and it's not his fault that I keep going back and forth. No, it's not his fault that Anthony Davis got hurt, but it's his fault for bringing him in, for trading, for making the stupid trade for a guy that has had injury problems. Are you trying to tell me that over the past 5 seasons, if we looked, he's missed a ton of games? But it's like over the last year, he'd only missed whatever. Dallas right now ranks last in the league in three-pointers made. Oh, nice. Nice job, guys. 3-point percentage. That's 29.5%. Yuck. Like, I mean, I understand that in the college game, you can have some bad games early, and that can happen. I think if we looked at Baylor's 3-point percentage right now, I bet it's not that great. But boy, 29.5% in the pro game is pathetic. They rank 27th in assists with 27.7 per game. And, they built a roster that's supposed to be tilted toward all these front court players, and then some of them aren't even around. Lively's not playing. You threw Cooper Flagg into the deep end, tried to make him a point guard. And somebody also, a scout said, remarkable that Nico did not acquire a good guard this summer so that they could win some games. An exec from the Eastern Conference team said that was such low-hanging fruit. I mean, that is really something right there. But they didn't do it. So also the vibe has been bad, miserable in the locker room. One player was quoted saying, "These people don't want us to win." They had a home-heavy schedule to start. They're like ready to get on the road more because they've been booed so much at home in terms of, I say they don't boo the players, but they're chanting about Nico. Flagg said after November home loss to the Pelicans, he said, "For me, it's the most I've ever lost since, I think ever." And then Daniel Gafford, after Monday's loss, said at times the fans' focus on Harrison being fired was disheartening for the players. He said, "But we all know we got a job to do. It's going to be a long season trying to win back a lot of fans. At the end of the day, it's too much. It's stupid. It was wasting energy." So it was time, but I mean, why didn't you do it before the season even started? I guess you thought maybe you could look at this roster with Anthony Davis and see what kind of start they get off to. They've gotten off to an awful start. And again, this is an embarrassing situation for next. Now, the big question becomes for the Mavs, Anthony Davis. What are they going to do with him? When are they going to put him back on the floor? Could they, if they're prioritizing Flagg, is there anything they could do to trade Anthony Davis? Somebody they talked to, one West Conference executive said, you don't go 2 timelines anymore. You say, we're going to take what we can get for Davis. At this point, I'm not sure what they can get. All right. And then if you're wondering what they might do in the front office, according to sources, Cuban hopes to hire. By the way, what does he have to do with anything? I mean, he's the one that created this mess by selling the team. But according to sources, Cuban hopes to hire Dennis Lindsey, the former Utah vice president, general manager, who's currently the second highest ranking member of the Detroit Pistons front office. He was a senior advisor for the Mavs during 2023-24 when he had input on personnel moves that helped build the finals roster around Doncic. Okay, so there you go. It's not known how receptive Dumont would be to Cuban's plan. Hey, be a lot better than any of Nico's plans. I mean, you should be pretty receptive to anybody not named Nico. So Nico has been fired. This will be interesting because in even just reading that, which is an ESPN.com report right now from Tim McMahon, that would suggest, because this is getting into the inside baseball, kind of the inner workings, this would suggest that with Nico being fired and Dumont spending more time trying to listen, be in town, be around the team, that Cuban is trying to get his ear. All right. And Cuban, who, again, unless I'm mistaken, hired one Nico Harrison. I mean, I would think with that hire, you kind of lost the right to be going around advising people. But we do like Dennis Lindsey. He played at Baylor. He was the longtime GM for the Utah Jazz. In fact, he was there when they drafted, I believe, Donovan Mitchell, who was unbelievable when they lost Gordon Hayward. And he went to the Boston Celtics. Donovan Mitchell showed up on the scene. He was taken somewhere around 13th or 14th in the draft. Unbelievable player. He continues today with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he's one of the most electrifying players in the game. Dennis Lindsey is an adult. He's a way better NBA guy than Nico ever thought about being. And right now he is second highest voice in the room with the Detroit Pistons. Take a peek, y'all. The Pistons are actually winning. I know that's shocking because we're not used to something like that, but the Detroit Pistons are actually having a good year. Cade Cunningham gets better and better and better. They have one of those Thompson twins. That's funny. That's an old music group. There's Amen Thompson. I believe he's the one with the Rockets. This is Oscar Thompson. I think he's the one with Detroit. So there you go. That to me would be an interesting name, is Dennis Lindsey to come in here. And as Chuck Cooperstein told us, it's hard to say really what they might do moving forward, how quickly they'll move. Matt Riccardi is someone that they've had in a more forward-facing role, just because he comes off way better, I think, around the media than Nico does. Again, whoever thought this was a good idea to have this guy? He just ruined everything. But he and Michael Finley will be the interim sort of co-directors of basketball operations over on that side. And we'll just see how quickly this team moves to hire a GM. I would hope. You've got more important things to do. Can you get anything for Anthony Davis? Can you get him healthy and playing to maybe convince somebody that he could come in there and help them? I could almost, you could get, think about some of these horrible players that they've traded for that, like Christian Wood, who, again, I didn't think when he first got here, I thought he was okay, but he turned out to be, his whole career was like kind of a joke. Like, this guy has talent, but he was kind of a head case and it never came to fruition. They gave a first-round pick for him, and he was just a strange player. That was a bad deal, and that was a Nico deal. Christian Wood, man, I'm having flashbacks of like all these players. JaVale McGee, are you kidding me? The guy was a embarrassment. He was, and JaVale McGee used to be, the Nuggets. I think he was with Golden State at one point, bounced around the league, but he was known as just sort of the ultimate clown. And the Mavs thought this guy was going to be a starter or something. I forgot that was Nico. Some of these things are just starting to come back to mind. All right, we need to take care of our unbelievable sponsors, and we'll let you hear a little bit from Dave Aranda is sounding off, not only on Mac Rhodes, but the Utah Utes coming to town. Let's talk a little Baylor. Let's talk about the future of the Bears. Let's do that next.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence. the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform.
At your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
Drive in the fall at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Huge savings and the best selection in Central Texas. From powerful Ram trucks, Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, to adventure-ready Jeeps and stylish new Dodges, we've got the right ride for you. Upgrading, downsizing, or buying your very first vehicle, Allen Samuels has you covered with friendly service and deals that make driving fun. Don't miss the Drive in the Fall event, only at Allen Samuels.
Come by, let's be friends.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor Women's Basketball, we didn't know exactly what that partnership would look like.
What brings you into the bank today?
For the last couple of months, I've been noticing a charge on my account, and I would like to block it.
I see. So you have a charge?
Yes.
And you'd like to block it?
Yes.
I think you should take the charge.
What?
Yeah, I definitely think you should take the charge.
I don't think you understand.
Sometimes you just have to take one for the team.
Is there a manager available?
We love that Coach Colin is all about the team. Once we get the vocabulary down, the sky's the limit.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.
I have Mac Rhodes, director of Baylor Athletics, on the phone. Mac, can you tell Peggy why she should take the charge?
Of course she should take the charge. Wait, are you at the bank again? And who is Peggy?
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Mosley to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code MOSLEY. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
Welcome back, Mosley Show. Hey, Underdog, not just something we talk about, it's something that we do, and I play all the time. And Matt, we have to come on here and take our wins and take our losses. And I need to confess that last night I went 0 for 3. I went 0 for 3. Giannis was half a point plus rebound plus assist short. And then Luka did not get a double-double. And what was my other pick last night? It was, Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown. Nobody scored touchdowns on Monday Night Football last night. It's like they were allergic to them. But we play on. I do not have any picks for this evening. I looked through the options. There were some NBA. If you keep up with the NBA, I haven't kept up with the NBA enough outside of this Nico thing to really get into exclusively NBA. Tomorrow, I will reveal my college football picks, but just know that the rest of the week we'll be playing Underdog. And if you want to play along, you can use this promo code Mosley. I'll give you $50 of bonus cash just for putting in your first 5. That's free to play Underdog, $50 extra. And you know what they say at Underdog? They say make picks, win money. Although Scotty did not win money last night, Mosley.
That's okay. I think, you know what? You're licking your wounds. You just decided to take the night off from. I think that's good. I think a lot of Mavs fans today, boy, they've been licking their wounds from disastrous trade. And I think today they can come out in the light. I think there could be even some drinking later today, some happy hours to celebrate the end of the Nico era. I'm surprised there hasn't been some kind of gathering up around the arena. I think they play the Suns tomorrow or something, so we'll see. But great to have Chuck Cooperstein. I saw a lot of people on Twitter were following us and watching us today. We appreciate you. We would encourage you to go sign up and join our YouTube page, which is growing leaps and bounds. And then you can always comment on our show, and we'll do some of that. Scotty, let's do a little Campus Confidential. This is the time of the day where we check in with the college game, kind of see what's going on out there. And I did want to share this with you, Scotty. We'll check in on Dave Aranda, because Dave Aranda was asked about the Mack Rhodes situation that occurred, well, before and after the Arizona State game. Mack, and as it said in that story, Scotty, one of the things that, and I listened to you and Terrence, and then on Please Bear With Me podcast, then we had Terrence on our show yesterday, and that was really good. One of the things I heard sort of both of you guys say is that maybe there were different versions after reading the stories. There were some things, and there was a line in that story from Outkick that said, Baylor did not dispute any of the facts of this story. Baylor did not push back. So what I wanted to do was kind of go to some different folks within the Baylor community, administration, and for my own knowledge to know if that was accurate. And what I mean by accurate were when they said that line, Baylor does not dispute any of the things that were reported in this story, I was told that is an accurate line. That Baylor, everything that was reported in there, Baylor does not dispute. All right. So I just think sometimes when you go on websites and you go on fan forums and you do all these things, you're going to see, well, that's not what I heard, or I heard Trigg said this, or Trigg's dad said this happened. Okay. You're going to get into a lot. Like, let me tell you this, just for an example. When a scout, before the story came out, came up to me and referenced Mack not liking some kind of undershirt that Trigg had on, I am certain he said this to me. The scout said that Trigg was wearing a pink undershirt, to which when I heard that, I was like, I don't remember anything like that. But again, maybe I'm losing my journalistic sense of, maybe at that point when the scout mentioned, because he didn't say anything about like hands-on or whatever. He just said they had a confrontation before the game. And I guess my antenna should have gone up to be like, hey, what happened here? I just kind of thought, well, that's interesting. And I'm glad that Trigg did not respond. Like the scout's point to me, Scotty, was the old Trigg would have not reacted as well as this version of Michael Trigg. I think that's great. And I would love to, I keep meaning to ask, I would love to talk to Trigg at some point. Like, I don't understand. Trigg puts up these incredible games. I think, I'd love to, I would like to know why we don't ever hear from Trigg. Like, there may be an explanation. Maybe Dave Aranda doesn't trust Trigg to talk to the media. I don't know. But like, I would think that if, an incredible star player like this, you might want him to visit with the media at some point. But I keep forgetting to actually ask about that, like to kind of like, zero in on why that doesn't happen. Okay. Scotty, let's do this though. Let's, we got a game coming up The Utes are coming to town, whether you like it or not. Utes are going to arrive, and Saturday evening, we're going to get this thing on. Scotty, if I understand the timing of this game, is it right to say that you'll be on the air by 3 o'clock on Saturday, and I'll be on the air at 4 o'clock? Okay, good. But so start the YouTube version of our show will, and I would imagine this will be a YouTube only presentation. Although KWTX, who's been a great partner this year, will put together a really nice presentation for them, and perhaps that'll run earlier in the day of some of the best of Mosley, Swingler, Faith, and some of our other offerings, Pete Souza, the whole gang. Might even put something up there from Smokey and Catalina and that gang. All right. And Craig, don't want to leave Craig out, and anybody else that might be over there. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. Let's check in, because in the midst of all the craziness from yesterday, I can't even remember. We had a new version of crazy today. Oh, yesterday we were doing more of the reaction over the weird story of the weekend where Mac Rhodes had an altercation with a Baylor player, altercation with a coach. Oh, Scotty, I'm sorry I keep doing this, because I do want to hear from Miranda for a second. But come in with me for a second, Scotty. I wanted to I did do a little research on one thing, because there seemed to be some confusion on, did Baylor people are calling me about this story as we speak. Did Baylor tell Mac not to go down there anymore? Did Mac come to that on his own? There seems to be a little bit of confusion on that. Mac Rhodes was not down there for the Kansas State game. Okay. I can confirm that. He was not on the sideline for that game. Since then, who has Baylor played at home? Just the UCF? He was down there. So I do not know if he prevented himself from going down to the K-State game, or Baylor said, we don't want you down there for the K-State game, but he went back to his usual, whatever that is. Now, over the years, and I also was kind of I was like, okay, if this happened with Michael Trigg, has he ever had any interaction with players or coaches before this? I think we would all ask ourselves that question. The answer I've been given is, other than like giving them a high five or way to go, coach, or something like that, the answer is no, nothing even close to what happened here. So that this was an aberration. Now, Scotty, if you ask me, the question is, has Mac ever hollered at an official during a game, and maybe gotten, maybe made himself known, not just like from a fan or coaches all screaming after a bad call? Has Mac ever made his voice heard from the sideline to officials? I think the answer would be yes to that. Okay. So I guess I had kind of put on the Mosley reporter cap and was trying to delve into some of that. I would expect Mac to be on the sideline. I would say Mac at times has probably, he's vocal and he likes to be down there, and he has for years. This is not, and by the way, it's not like, oh, Aranda's so weak that Mac feels like he needs to be on the sideline. He was down there for the Rule era too. All right. So let's not act like he only goes down there to check on Dave. I think he was down there. I do think early in the Rule, when he hired Rule, which is, he got here when they got the interim coach, right, Grove. I do think in the early days, Mac, from what I can tell, was up in the press box talking to the donors, doing all that stuff, and then maybe eventually would come down the sideline. I think in time, he probably was in such good stead with all those folks. Not that he didn't still talk to them and have great friendships, but in time, he started going down there for the whole game and maybe not feeling like he needed to be up there for like the first half. You know, I've watched these things for years, Scotty. Like one time I stumbled into seats at the Sweet 16 for Baylor, and I sat next to President Starr and his wife. And by the way, his wife is still around. Very, very nice person. Really like her. But I thought to myself, well, I'm going to be sitting next to Judge Starr during a Baylor Sweet 16 game. This will be kind of interesting and kind of fun. And I'd met him. He knew who I was. And so I thought, I'll have some interaction with the Stars. Scotty, I bet they stayed for 2 minutes and were up there in the suites talking to donors, that guy was relentless when it came to working donors and talking to people and everything. So that was one thing, man. You could never accuse Judge Starr of not being up there trying to raise funding for the university. He did a lot of that.
Politicians know how to do that, don't they?
Yeah, although, you know, I guess, I don't know, would we call him a politician? He was a creature. He was a political creature because he got put on. He was a special prosecutor in the Lewinsky. So he certainly was around Washington and knew that world. Okay, Scotty, we're running out of time, but I want to hear the first part, though, of Dave Aranda, because there's a few questions that he's asked about this Mack Rhodes story. Let's hear his reaction. We'll let this play for a little bit, and then he tries to keep steering it back to the players in Utah. Let's listen to a little bit of Dave Aranda, and then Scotty and I will react.
It's good to see you guys. Excited for this week. Bye was good.
Good to see you
guys. Guys are rested, ready. It's a good morning this morning. Take any questions you guys got.
Dave, are you concerned at all about the reports of the last few days being a distraction for the team with Mack?
No, you know, that's an HR deal. That's above my pay grade. Team's in a good spot. You know, energy-wise was really good, and focus-wise was good. Got big tests ahead of us. It's going to take our best to put up a challenge and get a win. I think they all recognize that, so we're excited for that.
How's your relationship with Mack right now?
Yeah, Mack and I have always had a good relationship. We've always been open and always talked. Has always had free access to say what needs to be said. I've always appreciated that.
Should the AD be that much involved in anything prior to a game or after a game?
Yeah, I just think all of those questions, I understand the interest in them. You know, our focus is just trying to get ready to play a game. This is just a huge game for us. This is a game we need to win. We're in an instance where, similar to last year, we have to win all the rest of these games, and the focus needs to be on 1-0 today and 1-0 tomorrow and 1-0 the next day, and stack those up so that we can get a 1-0 on Saturday night, you know. And so very much for me the focus is that. And, you know, I think all of these things as they play out will play out however they play out. But, you know, we have to win this game, and we have to play our best. You know, this is a team that's embarrassed a fair amount of teams, and we're not looking to be that next team.
Dave, when you finally put together a complete game, I know you may have needed the break, but
Scotty, can you hold up a second?
Playing after that.
Okay, thank you. I was not there. I kind of regret that, in fact. But I would have asked, did you ever address this with your team? Because he's got to answer that one. Now, he might say, I'm not going to answer it or whatever, but then that would be an answer in itself. This happened, again, a reminder, before the Arizona State game. It was an interaction that Mack Rhodes had Michael Trigg, and he did not like the fact that Michael Trigg had a an undershirt, long sleeve undershirt that was different than all his teammates. They've since said it was to go over a brace that he was wearing, and that's why he was wearing the sleeve. In the aftermath of that, some coaches, in the report it said including Dave Aranda. Wouldn't you love to see what that looked like? Dave Aranda approaching or confronting Mack Rhoades. I don't know what that all looked like, but that was what was reported. Now, after the game, a coach, as was reported by Outkick, is that Mack Rhoades went up as some of the coaches and players were talking to family members, or going over to talk to the Baylor line, and put his hands on the shoulders and neck area of an assistant coach. I believe this is Jared Anderson, although I don't believe in that report it was he was named. This is the tight ends coach for Baylor, who's done such an incredible job with Michael Trigg. So this is where that situation is. I would have liked to have known, did you address it with the players? And is it something that you addressed directly afterwards? Did you talk through with Mack Rhoades? In the story, it said that Mack did, in the aftermath of this, a couple of days later, perhaps, apologized to Michael Trigg and the coach in question. I believe it said Michael Trigg for sure. I mean, I'm kind of worried a little bit about, Scotty, you mentioned how thin Mack looked, and I joked yesterday about how I would love, and in fact, I think somebody got 2 free sandwiches for telling me I look thin, which I don't. I think I had to force them into it by offering free sandwiches from Schmaltz's. But I do agree that Mack kind of sounded and just didn't. He looked very thin and tired, and I don't know. I thought he had a good grasp of the knowledge when he was representing Baylor on ESPN. He'll do it again this evening. I do think they have people that help prep and get him ready for any questions that might happen. Scotty, one more thing that I was going to bring up with you. I did reach out to a spokesperson for the college football playoff, who happens to be a longtime friend of mine, and they do not believe Mack will be asked about this altercation with the player and coach tonight. I think we had already kind of on our own come to that conclusion, given Baylor's lack of relevance in terms of to the college football playoff. Sadly, the Bears are 5-4, just trying to get bowl eligible, and certainly will have no. I guess, Scotty, what if you? Wouldn't that be something? What if you beat Utah on Saturday, then you go take care of Arizona, and then let's say Houston comes into town with only 2 losses still, a ranked Houston team, and so you 2 out of your last 3 games you win against ranked teams, and let's say SMU is going to be ranked, and so that would give you however many ranked wins that is, like 3 ranked wins. And you finish the season 8-4. Scotty Swingler, are you then are you ranked at the end of the season in the final college football playoff Are you in the top 25 with an 8-4 record?
No. No, it is too late. It is too late, sir.
I don't know.
Damage has been done. The Auburn loss continues to look worse by the week. The TCU loss looks worse by the week. No.
I don't know. I think you backdoor your way into the top 25 of the college football playoff.
I think you're smoking crack and we can talk more about this as the week goes on, obviously, but I don't know what kind of fantasy land we got to be living in to think that that Saturday is going to go well. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about how bad Saturday could get, Mose.
I'm not. I think the Bears are going to show up and play. I got to tell you.
This does sound like you were talking to Baylor administration yesterday.
Bought and paid for. Oh, Mosley, bought and paid for.
I see that. You sound like never mind. I'm not going to go. I got to stop. That we can talk about the game later this week. I think Utah is going to create some issues. Number one offensive line in the nation going against what we know Baylor's run defense is. It's going to be something, man.
Do you think when I put the hoodie on, I look like thinner, like maybe like more like Mac?
Did you see the comment I threw up a few minutes ago?
What's that?
Dave Shore on Twitter said, "Never a dull moment there, thin man."
Thin man. That's one of my old bosses.
This is going to become a meme of this show now. Every show, we need someone to comment in on Matt Mosley's incredible physique.
Dave Shore just went in his school's Hall of Fame. Big time broadcaster and old pal, and was instrumental in me going to 103.3 FM ESPN. In fact, I had such an illustrious run there that the station is now a religious format. I did go 10 years. I mean, it was a heck of a deal. I mean, I'm now banned in Dallas radio. Unfortunately, the guy who I got into it with is he had both stations, 105, the ticket. Everybody always asks me, why are you not on the ticket? Well, I don't really want to be, one. And two, the guy who's the program director fired me, after a dispute. And you think, Scotty, Mosley's so easy to get along with. How could he ever have a dispute? I used to not be as easy to work with. There was a time when perhaps I brought some things on myself at several different stops. But at Rogue, I've just settled in beautifully. And even when things don't work properly, Scotty, you've noticed I remain very calm. I'm sort of a calming influence on Rogue, Lizzie, and everybody involved. Thank you, Brazos Landing. Thank you, Lindsay family. They are not kin to Dennis Lindsay, who could end up as being the GM of the Dallas Mavericks, although Cuban is the one pushing this. We don't know how much say Cuban still has. He didn't have enough say to save us from the departure of Luka Doncic. But Dennis Lindsay is very close friends with Claude and Becky Lindsay, who own the Brazos Landing. And I just, right now, what I would do to get some blackened chicken on the top of a salad, a harvest salad, or just get that shrimp, that bang bang shrimp with the coconut type sauce or seasoning, and then I would just swim. You say, well, Mosley, what would you do right now? What would you do for a meal at the Brazos Landing? I would jump in over at the Foster and swim over across the Brazos River. That's how badly I would want something from the Brazos Landing. I would absolutely do that. I'll never do some of these other things like keg stands or shotgunning beers, because that's bad for the brand. That's not the Mosley brand. But now skiving off and jumping into the Brazos River for a good swim to enjoy some, the problem is I'm not a very good swimmer. I would not drown, but it would take a real long time because my strokes are so bad. And I'd have to do like a breaststroke. It would just be kind of like a real weird stroke. I mean, even I used to try to do the butterfly, kind of a Mark Spitz type thing. But, you know, I think I look like someone who might be a good swimmer. All right, I think we better go. It's 3:01. I think the Twitter audience has already left us. But we love our Twitter audience, by the way. You guys are great. And we'll put that Cooperstein interview out everywhere, and I think our folks will enjoy it. Thank you, Brazos Landing. Thank you, C&B. Thank you, Ascension Providence. Thank you, Craig Cherry. That's an unbelievable law firm. Appreciate you guys, everybody who's been a part of this one. For Scotty, for Lizzie, for Corey, for Mike, for Zach, for Josh, and for the people that I can't remember their names at Rogue Media Network, we wish you a good evening.